Born of nuclear radiation and destined to walk the earth forever, welcome to Godzilla Reviewthon! What's up, YouTubers of the world? Making Geek Mixer here, ready to give you guys the 24th installment to the Godzilla franchise and the first installment to the new era known as the Millennium series, which with this title is known as Godzilla 2000 Millennium. Now, this one was also released in the US, but this one was released a year after it was actually released in Japan. In Japan, it was released in 1999, while here in the US, it was released in 2000. And it was a good thing, too, because, like, here's the thing. The Millennium series wasn't originally not scheduled to be, like, released this early, but after the negative impact Godzilla 1998 had, they decided to bring it back sooner than expected. And it was a good thing, too, because it was a good way for us American fans to get a little redemption of Godzilla and, I guess, show those guys who made that American film how a Godzilla movie was supposed to have been. But even still, though, it was a good movie. It was a good movie with some weird CGIs here and there, but I'll discuss that more as we go on. Let's just first off get into the plot of the movie here. So in this one, it's all really about Godzilla. He's just being his usual antagonist self. I mean, not antagonist, more like anti-hero himself. And that's in the fact that, sure, he may destroy the city, but if someone threatens his territory, he will protect the city, and by extension, the humans. And how's that? Well, first off, like, in the Millennium series, it does something that the first two Godzilla films that introduced the different eras, such as the Showa era and the Heisei era, they all did a solo film. Godzilla was on his own. He didn't have any monsters to fight. Well, in this one, he does. A monster known as Orga that starts off as a spaceship. They never really gave this spaceship a name, really. So I'm just going to call it Millennium, because in the end, that's what one of the first forms it takes is. Millennium. And what this thing is that it crash landed on Earth some thousands of years ago, and then Godzilla, well, not Godzilla, I meant to say Japanese governments found it, and eventually it woke up and it discovered Godzilla and discovered it had something, that Godzilla had something inside of it that it wanted. And well, that led into a beam collision of him and Godzilla. First, with it shooting its beam at Godzilla, which I gotta say, the CGI effect on that one was pretty good in that end. And then I love the intense moment, the thrilling moment as they're both preparing, charging their beam, and then shoot it at each other. That was insanely cool. And then after that, though, they wouldn't see each other for a while until near the end of the movie, when Godzilla would surface again and go after the Millennium spaceship that was over in a Tokyo Tower, where one of the main characters works at. And that's where they would battle. So first off, Godzilla's battling a spaceship. That's something new and different and creative, and it turned out pretty interesting. I won't lie. And because for a spacecraft, it actually gave Godzilla a little run for its money, mostly due to some sort of pressure beam or something it used against Godzilla that even knocked a building over him. But that's when it also showed off some other abilities, such as in the fact that even though people can't see it, at least regular eyes wise, but with a computer red screen, they saw that it has invisible antennas that can gain information or something from something. And that's exactly what it did. It got Godzilla's regenerated gene 1 cell, and with it, it started to make its own being. First into the alien creature known as Millennium, and then it transformed into Orga, who like Godzilla, if it's damaged, it starts to self-regenerate. And it also has a shoulder cannon, which I gotta admit, I liked its beam better as a spacecraft than as a shoulder cannon. But also, Orga shows the ability to even communicate with the leftover spacecraft that was left of it. Like, it can they can fight simultaneously with it because it used it against Godzilla as it was fighting. But also that, it was not only that, you see, Orga was trying to adapt to the Earth, and it wanted Godzilla's cell to do that. And even more so, even though it became a new monster, it wanted more, so it ends up trying to eat Godzilla and already growing some of Godzilla's spines. Which, by the way, I love the spines on this Godzilla, very sharp looking like, and very menacing looking like. Yeah, like the spines on this Godzilla, I loved them. Really cool. But in the end, though, that was a mistake because Godzilla ends up using a giant nuclear explosion to create a giant explosion, which kills Orga, and then that was really cool. I mean, for a Godzilla battle, that was an interesting one. It may have been short, mind you, but it was still an awesome battle there. And now why don't I just go ahead and go into the human plot of things, because that was all there was on the monster side of things. But don't get me wrong, guys, it may have been short, but the way the movie was structured up made it be not such a bad movie on that end. What really also made the movie here is that in this one, it really gives you more depth into the human plot of things. First off, you got the, let's just say we have, like, say, 4 or 5 main characters. First off, you have Shinoda with a woman named Yuki, and then his daughter, Io, and then you got 2 other guys who work for the Japanese government, Katakuri, who's the human antagonist. Yeah, we actually got a human antagonist in this one. And then you got Miyazaki in this one. So it turns out like almost all of these guys all have history with each other, except Yuki. All she has a connection with is Shinoda and his daughter Io, who are part of this thing they created called Godzilla Prediction Network, where they follow Godzilla so they can try to hope to get a sample of Godzilla so they can study him, while Katakuri and Miyazaki work for the government to try to kill Godzilla. And this is what makes those two clash. Shinoda, Miyazaki, and Katakuri, they all have history. Miyazaki and Shinoda used to work together and be friends, but when Shinoda refused to work for the government, Miyazaki ended up accepting the offer, which distanced their friendship, while Shinoda and Katakuri, they just really don't like each other at all. Or at least more Shinoda does. Katakuri doesn't mind Shinoda. He actually finds him brilliant and wants those two to work together. But Shinoda's not having any of it right there. Because, like I said, Shinoda, he wants to study Godzilla, and while Katakuri, he wants to destroy Godzilla. And this is where in the end, Shinoda actually works with, not necessarily work, but just use some of the military lab work they have. And that's where he discovered that regenerator G1, which is something he named because he found a skin portion of Godzilla when the military was attacking him earlier in the film, which, by the way, was great to see. A good old tradition, Godzilla versus the military there. It's always good to see that in the intros of a new series. But it was by finding that Godzilla tissue that he also learned of how Godzilla can regenerate so fast. With 2 pictures he found, with one showing a damaged tissue on the left and the right one showing self-regeneration pretty quickly. And it was actually in a pretty short time. That's where Shinoda and Miyazaki found it, and Shinoda came up with that name. It was great to also see that in this film, a real more in-depth look at people as they study Godzilla and how he acts, how he's able to self-regenerate and stuff. And that's also the same with when they fight the Millennium spaceship in Orga. But what I really loved was Katakuri. He was the best part of the human side of things at the ending. But real quick, let me talk about Yuki, who was just a reporter working with Shinoda, and she just hates working with them. She even calls them freaks, while Shinoda's daughter Io called them imbecile. That was funny. Their relationship was a funny thing, but that's all there is right there. Now, as for Katakuri, I loved how he died. You see, the way he died was that for after all these times of who knows how long he's been trying to kill Godzilla, he meets his end by Godzilla only because he chooses to meet his end. Why? Because he got a chance to see Godzilla up close. Very, very close to be exact. And he wasn't the only one. At the beginning of the film, Shinoda, Yuki, and Io also were able to see him very close. Only because he was he was looking at their car. And let me just say, Io, that little girl, she's the first and only kid I've ever seen get that close to Godzilla. But still, for Katakuri, when he got that close, he met his end. But the way he met his end was interesting because I liked it. Here's what he did. Here's what he did. Like, this is how he died. I'll just show it to you. Pretty awesome, huh? How he just says his name. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. Even though Godzilla may have killed him, though, that was something. And I definitely loved how it ended with Godzilla going around destroying the city, and then used his breath to all around the city, almost like circling his territory, saying, "This is my territory and nobody is going to destroy it." That was a way to end it. Yeah, so the Millennium Era, the first intro of the Millennium Era was really good. It actually did great. It has a little negative side with their CGI effects showing, but that's okay. I mean, we can't always expect all CGI computer generated things to go well. And the plot wasn't all that bad either. It was, I would say it was like an average plot line. And this film is definitely up there as some of my favorite films. Not my top 10, mind you, but still a good movie nonetheless. And I would totally recommend it, guys. This was a great way to help us heal from that Godzilla 1998 film. And let me just say, one thing I'll never forget when I was going to see this was this one camera shot showing like Godzilla was running as he was coming out of the water. But everything else and stuff, that's actually one of the things I talked about, that CGI part. I love a little funny looking, but still, good movie. I would totally recommend it. And if you guys are enjoying my videos, well, all you gotta do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos. Until then, I'm gonna see you guys in the next Godzilla Reviewthon. Until then, Mega Geek Mixer signing out. Bye.